She swung the baseball bat like she was in a movie, smashing my brand new truck's headlight into pieces. Glass scattered across my driveway. My hands clenched so tight I could feel my nails digging into my palms. "That'll teach you to park where you don't belong," she yelled, her voice echoing through the quiet neighborhood. I didn't even have a chance to speak before she stormed back to her shiny white SUV, the one she treated like royalty. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but from the kind of anger that makes you think sharper, colder. She thought I wouldn't fight back. She thought I was just some guy who'd take it. That's the thing about people like her. They never check who they're messing with. I pulled out my phone, took a quick video of the damage, and walked straight to my garage. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I grabbed the spare key for the property gate and called my buddy from the towing company. He owed me a favor, and this was the moment to cash it in. When the tow truck rolled up 15 minutes later, Karen was still inside, sipping her wine and peeking through her curtains. I made sure she saw me point at her SUV. The driver hooked it up in under a minute. Her front door flew open. "What the hell are you doing?" she screamed, running toward me like she thought she could stop a moving truck. I just smiled. Parking where you don't belong has consequences. And right then I saw something in her eyes. Not fear, not yet, but confusion. Because she had no idea how much trouble she was actually in. And the best part was, I wasn't done yet. She chased the tow truck down the street, screaming every insult she could think of, barefoot and waving her arms like a maniac. Neighbors stepped out onto their porches, phones out, recording the whole thing. I knew this was exactly the kind of public meltdown she'd never recover from, but that was only step one. When she finally realized the truck wasn't stopping, she spun around and stormed back toward me. Her face was red, her breathing heavy, and her words came out in sharp bursts. "You can't just take my car. I'm on the HOA board. I'll have you arrested." I leaned on my truck, pretending to inspect the smashed headlight. "Arrested? For towing a vehicle off private property? Go ahead, Karen. Call them." She whipped out her phone, dialed 911, and turned her back to me as if she was staging a dramatic TV scene. But I knew exactly what was coming. Karen wasn't calling the real police. She was calling her special friend, the so-called HOA security officer, the one who wore a fake badge and acted like he had actual authority. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, a black SUV rolled up with flashing amber lights. Out stepped a man in sunglasses, puffing his chest out like he was about to serve an arrest warrant. "Sir, I'm here to enforce HOA property laws," he announced. I kept a straight face, but inside I was laughing. This was my favorite part, because he had no clue that the property they were standing on wasn't under HOA control at all. And the proof? I had it in my pocket, along with something else that would flip this whole fight upside down. Karen crossed her arms, standing right beside her fake cop like she'd just summoned the cavalry. "You see? Now hand over the keys to my car, or he's going to take you in," she said, smirking like she'd already won. The man in sunglasses stepped closer. "Sir, you're in violation of HOA parking regulations and property damage rules. I suggest you cooperate." I tilted my head, keeping my voice calm. "First, this isn't HOA property. Second, you might want to think twice before pretending to be law enforcement." Karen scoffed. "Oh, please, he's certified." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a folded document, my land deed, stamped and signed by the county clerk. I held it up just long enough for the crowd of neighbors to catch a glimpse. "This," I said, "proves the HOA has zero authority here." The fake officer's confident stance faltered for just a second, but Karen jumped in, trying to recover. "That paper doesn't mean anything. We have rules." I cut her off. "Rules don't override the law. And here's the other thing." I slid my phone out and played a crystal clear video from my security camera. It showed Karen smashing my headlight, right down to the smug look on her face when she walked away. Gasps rippled through the small crowd gathering. The fake cop stepped back, muttering something about misunderstanding. But I wasn't done, because I had already called the real police, and the sound of their sirens was getting closer by the second. Karen's smirk vanished, replaced by a flicker of panic. She glanced at the street, then back at me, realizing she was seconds away from losing far more than her car. 2 squad cars rolled up fast, lights flashing red and blue, painting the whole street in chaos. Karen's voice cracked as she tried to switch sides in an instant. "Officer, Thank God you're here. He stole my car and attacked me. The nearest cop, a tall, stone-faced sergeant, didn't even blink. Ma'am, we've already reviewed the footage the caller provided, he said, pointing at me. It clearly shows you damaging his vehicle, and your SUV was towed legally from his private property. Karen's jaw dropped. No, that's not how this works. I'm on the HOA board. We have rights. The sergeant's tone turned cold. HOA rights don't include criminal property damage or calling in impersonators. His eyes shifted to the fake cop who was now sweating bullets. And you... Step over here, the man stammered. I was just trying to... You're being detained for impersonating a law enforcement officer, the sergeant said, slapping cuffs on him while another officer read him his rights. Karen took a step back, clutching her phone like it could save her. But before she could run, one of the other officers stopped her. Ma'am, you're under arrest for vandalism and filing a false police report. Gasps came from every direction as neighbors recorded the scene. She kicked and shouted, "This is harassment! I'll sue every one of you." But it didn't matter. The cuffs clicked shut, and she was marched to the back of the squad car. As the door slammed, I leaned just close enough for her to hear me through the glass. Actions have consequences, Karen, remember? Her glare could have burned a hole through the window, but all I did was smile, because I still hadn't told her the best part, what was waiting for her when she got out. The tow yard wasn't just holding her SUV, it was holding it ransom in the most legal way possible. See, I'd already spoken to my buddy there, and he knew the whole story. Between the towing fees, storage costs, and the fine for blocking my driveway, she was looking at a bill so high it could have bought her a brand new car, and that wasn't even touching the repair costs for my truck, which my insurance company was already set to chase her for. When she finally got released on bail the next evening, she stormed straight to the tow yard, thinking she'd just pay a small fee and drive off. But I'd made sure the paperwork was ironclad. She couldn't get that SUV back without clearing all the charges first. The tow yard manager, a big guy with a friendly grin, slid the invoice across the counter. Karen's face went pale. This is thousands. That's what happens when you break the law on private property, he said calmly. Her voice started to rise again, but then she noticed me leaning casually against the wall. Oh, don't mind me, I said with a smile. I just came to drop off these. I handed the manager a copy of the police report and my security footage. Figured you might want this in case she tries anything funny. Karen's hands shook as she signed the paperwork, muttering curses under her breath. But the second she thought she was finally free to leave, the tow yard gates didn't open. The manager looked at her with a smirk. Oh, didn't I mention? There's a court order on the vehicle now. You can't drive it until your case is resolved. She spun toward me, eyes wide with rage. You planned this. I shrugged. No, Karen. You planned this the moment you decided to smash my truck. What she didn't know was that her nightmare was just starting. Because the very next letter she'd get in the mail would be from my lawyer. 3 days later, she got that letter. I know, because I watched her yank it out of her mailbox and tear. It opened right there on her porch. From 30 feet away, I could see her face go from smug to stunned in seconds. It wasn't just a repair bill, it was a lawsuit. Property damage, harassment, trespassing, and defamation. My lawyer had stacked every single count the law allowed, and the potential damages were enough to turn her HOA board member salary into dust. She came storming down the street toward my house like she was ready for round 2. You can't sue me. This is a free country, she shouted.